Good evening, everybody. David Paul here in the KHOU 11 Weather Center with your tropical update. Of course, we're focusing on Melissa. Melissa's going to go down into the history books as the strongest hurricane that we know of to ever make landfall, the strongest landfalling hurricane that we know of in the Atlantic Basin since we've been keeping records going back to the mid-1800s. Number two was the Labor Day hurricane 1935. Now, it had a central pressure of 892 millibars. So what about Melissa? Well, Melissa's going to tie it at 892. However, with Melissa, we know the wind speed. Winds sustained at 185 when it made landfall, gusting to 225 miles an hour as it made landfall. That's going to make Melissa number one on the strongest landfalling hurricane that we know of that we've ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin. This is the enhanced infrared satellite. There it is, that it was making landfall, just an incredible and intensifying eye. The storm was intensifying. Winds went from 175 to 185 in the last hour and a half before it made landfall. So just as bad as it can possibly be. Storms that are intensifying as they make landfall, and I'm cupping this in my hands. The eye gets smaller and smaller as it's making landfall, a sign of an intensifying hurricane, and it will carry those winds further inland. So there's been catastrophic damage to structures on the west side of Jamaica. This is the visible. That's the way I looked on visible. Again, just incredible. You're looking at a system that is completely vertically stacked, completely unsheared, and over those very, very warm waters of the Caribbean, where the sea surface temperature was near 90, and you had very deep, warm water for it to feed off of. And that is a visible satellite of the strongest hurricane that we know of to ever make landfall in the Atlantic Basin, Melissa. There's where Melissa is now, in between Jamaica and the eastern side of Cuba, where it's going to make landfall tonight. There it is. Looks like an eye is trying to reform. The eye did get broken up as it went over the mountainous terrain of Jamaica. They've got mountain peaks that go to 6,000 or 7,000 feet there, so they disrupt the circulation. They weaken the storm down to a Cat 3 now, winds of 125. Gusting to 175. Storm's moving northeast at 8, pressure's up to 950, but it looks like an eye is trying to reform here. So it may re-strengthen a little bit before it finishes and makes landfall here on the east side of Cuba, near Santiago de Cuba. That'll be around midnight tonight. We can take a look at the winds. They're still getting gusts to tropical storm force on the north side of Jamaica. And here comes the landfall, second landfall on the eastern side of Cuba. So Santiago de Cuba, winds of 73 sustained, forecast as we head into 10:30, 11 o'clock tonight. Looks like that's going to be landfall according to this model run a little bit before midnight. And then across the island it goes and back out into the Atlantic now, where Snug Corner and Clarencetown, the southern portion of the Bahama, Turks and Caicos, here down a little further south, will take a Cat 3 hurricane. Clarencetown, Snug Corner, those little island spots there are going to take a Cat 3 as that moves through during the day on Wednesday. So still plenty of work for Melissa to do. Here's the forecast track from the Hurricane Center. Expecting it to become a 4 again before landfall tonight at 10:30. You can see the eye beginning to form again. Crosses the island, maintains a 3, southern Bahamas, northern Turks, and then grazes by, there's Bermuda. It's going to graze by Bermuda as a strong Cat 2, weak Cat 1 as we head into Friday of this week. So after that, it will accelerate and zip off to the north. And that will be the end of Melissa. But again, it's going to be one for the history books. Strongest hurricane that we ever have known since we've been keeping records back to the mid-1800s. Strongest hurricane that we know of to ever actually make landfall. There have been stronger hurricanes over open water that did not make landfall at the strength that Melissa did, with winds at 185 and gusting to 225. Just unbelievable. Okay, to Houston, where a cold front's gone through. Temperatures, they haven't really dropped much yet, but they will overnight. It's going to be windy and chilly tomorrow morning. We'll be in the 50s. We've got a wind advisory in effect. Winds are going to gust to 40 tonight and tomorrow. Northwest wind gusting 30 to 40. Next live broadcast, KHOU 11 News at 10 o'clock. You can catch it here on Plus or on the TV side, on our digital platforms as well. We'll have the headlines, sports headlines, and the latest on this cold front coming through here and what it means for the next couple of days, and a detailed look at your Halloween forecast and Halloween weekend forecast when I see you again